A puppy was drowning in freezing water, and no one was coming. In the middle of a blizzard, a man heard a scream that didn't belong to the storm. His dog ran first, straight toward a river breaking apart under thin ice. On the bank, a chained mother was bleeding, watching her puppy disappear again and again beneath the current. He knew exactly what would happen if he stepped in, and for a moment, he chose to walk away. But some choices don't let you leave. They follow you until you turn back. He didn't jump in to be a hero. He jumped in because he couldn't live with himself if he didn't. What followed was not bravery. It was a fight against cold, fear, and the weight of a past he failed once before. Sometimes, God doesn't calm the storm. He waits to see who will step into it and refuse to turn away. Where are you watching from? And would you have turned back? If this story stayed with you, help us reach 1,000 subscribers and keep these stories alive. The storm did not arrive. It was already there. Wind tore across the mountains in long, violent bursts, carrying snow sideways like shards of glass. The road ahead was barely a suggestion. 2 pale tracks swallowed almost as soon as they appeared. Everything else was white. Endless, shifting white. Logan Pierce leaned forward over the steering wheel, eyes narrowed, not straining, just measuring. He didn't fight the storm. He read it. The truck crawled along the mountain road, engine low. Steady, stubborn. Inside, there was no music, just the heater rattling unevenly and the dull hum of tires struggling for grip. Beside him, Rex sat upright in the passenger seat. The German Shepherd didn't move, didn't fidget. His body was still, but not relaxed. His head tilted slightly, ears angled forward, not toward the road, but somewhere beyond it. Logan noticed. He always noticed. What is it?" he muttered, voice rough from cold air and long silence. Rex didn't answer. Of course he didn't, but his posture shifted. Just enough. A tightening. A focus. Logan's hand tapped once against the steering wheel, thumb brushing the worn edge of his watch without looking down. Nothing out there should matter. That had been the rule for a long time. The storm thickened. The world narrowed. The truck moved slower. And then Rex growled. Not loud, not aggressive. Low. Deep. Wrong. Logan's grip tightened slightly on the wheel. Before he could say anything, Rex moved. The dog didn't bark. Didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, paws hitting the dashboard. Then the door. Then the door burst open into the storm. Cold air slammed into the cab as Rex leapt out, disappearing instantly into the white. "Rex!" Logan killed the engine without thinking and shoved the door open. The wind hit him like a wall, stealing half his breath. For a second, he couldn't see anything. Then a shape moved ahead, low, fast, cutting through the snow. Rex. Logan stepped down onto the road, boots crunching into ice beneath powder. The cold bit through his jacket immediately, sharp and invasive, but he didn't stop. "Rex!" No response. The dog was already off the road, moving downhill toward the river. Logan swore under his breath and followed. Each step was careful, controlled. The slope was uneven, layered with hidden ice and loose rock. He adjusted automatically, weight forward, knees loose, boots finding what little grip they could. The wind howled through the trees, bending them just enough to make them groan. Then he heard it. At first, it slipped between the gusts, thin, almost swallowed by the storm. Then it came again, a sound that didn't belong to wind, or to anything that should still be alive out here. A scream. Logan stopped, not because he was afraid, because he recognized it. Rex was already moving faster now, almost sliding down the slope. The sound came again. Raw, tearing, desperate. Logan's chest tightened, something old and buried stirring in a place he had spent years avoiding. "Damn it," he muttered. He moved, faster now, not reckless. Never reckless, but no longer slow. The trees thinned as the slope opened toward the riverbank. The ground leveled just enough for him to see beyond the blowing snow. And then, he saw it. At the edge of the river, anchored against a twisted pine tree, a shape struggled violently. A German shepherd. Female. Her coat, black and deep brown, was matted with snow and streaked dark where blood had dried and frozen. A heavy chain ran from her neck to the base of the tree, pulled taut with every desperate lunge forward. Her throat was raw where the metal collar had cut into her skin. She wasn't looking at Logan. She didn't even see him. All of her focus, every ounce of her strength, was fixed on the river. Logan followed her gaze, and for a moment, the storm disappeared. The river wasn't fully frozen. Dark water moved beneath broken sheets of ice, pushing them slowly apart, grinding them together again in a quiet, lethal rhythm. Between those shifting plates, something small moved. A puppy. It drifted with the current, its tiny body rolling weakly, caught between pieces of ice that knocked against it without mercy. Its head dipped beneath the surface, rose again. Barely. Logan didn't move. Not forward, not back. His breathing slowed, not from calm, but from calculation. Distance, current, temperature, time. The numbers assembled themselves without effort. They always did. He knew exactly what he was looking at. He knew exactly what it would take. Behind him, Rex let out a sharp bark, urgent, cutting through the wind. The dog moved along the edge of the bank, searching, pacing, trying to find a way down. The mother lunged again, chain snapping tight with a metallic crack. She let out another sound, lower now, breaking apart into something that wasn't quite a bark anymore. It was closer to grief. Logan's jaw tightened. The puppy slipped under again. This time, it stayed there longer. When it surfaced, it didn't struggle the same way. Something in its movement changed, or rather, stopped. Logan felt it before he understood it. That moment, and the one where survival becomes memory. He turned away, just slightly, enough to break the line between him and the river. "Not my problem," he said quietly. The words didn't sound like his. They sounded practiced, worn. Rex barked again, louder this time, sharper, moving closer to Logan, then back toward the river, then back again. Logan didn't look at him. He started walking. One step, then another. The storm swallowed the river behind him almost immediately. The sound faded. Except it didn't, because it wasn't coming from the river anymore. It came from the dog. A single, broken cry. Not loud, not forceful. Just empty. Logan stopped. His hand moved without thinking, thumb tapping once against the face of his watch. The metal was cold through his glove. For a moment he stood there, back turned to the storm, to the river, to the life slipping away behind him. Then he exhaled slowly and closed his eyes. Logan didn't turn back immediately. His body did something else first, something older than thought. It listened. The storm was still there, clawing at the trees, dragging snow across the ground in long white streaks. But beneath it, there was another rhythm now. Not sound exactly. Movement. Timing. Water against ice. Shift. Crack. Slide. He turned. Slowly this time. Not reacting. Choosing. The river came back into view through the blowing snow, and with it, the shape of the struggling dog. The chain pulled tight enough to vibrate with each desperate lunge. And farther out. The puppy. It was still drifting, but not fighting the same way. The current had carried it deeper into the broken channel, where the ice plates moved faster, closing and separating like jaws. Logan stepped closer to the edge. His boots sank slightly into wet snow beneath the surface crust. Too soft. Too unstable. He scanned the ground automatically. Tree roots, rocks, any natural anchor point. Nothing reliable. The bank dropped too sharply. The angle was wrong. If he slipped, there wouldn't be a second chance to adjust. Behind him, Rex moved fast along the edge, nose low, weaving back and forth. Not panicking. Searching. Calculating his own path. Easy, Logan muttered, though the word carried no command. Rex ignored it. Good. The dog stopped suddenly near a narrow break in the bank, where the slope flattened just enough to suggest a descent. Logan moved toward it, crouching slightly as he approached. He tested the ground with his boot. It held. Barely. He shifted his weight forward. The top layer gave way, revealing a slick sheet of ice underneath. His foot slid half an inch before he pulled back instinctively. Not here. He exhaled slowly, fog spilling from his mouth into the wind, The truck. He turned, eyes tracking up the slope through the storm. The shape of it was faint but there, dark against the white. He moved back toward it, faster now. Snow lashed at his face, stinging his eyes, but he didn't slow. The climb burned through his legs, the incline sharper than it had seemed on the way down. When he reached the truck, he yanked open the door and leaned inside, reaching beneath the seat. His fingers closed around coiled rope, old, but solid. Nylon, weather-worn, but intact. He pulled it free and stepped back into the storm. No harness, no proper anchor, just improvisation. Figures, he muttered. Back down the slope. Rex was still there, pacing tighter now, agitation bleeding into his movements. The dog glanced at Logan once, just once, before snapping his attention back to the river. Logan dropped the coil of rope and worked quickly. One end looped around a thick root near the tree line, low, buried, but better than nothing. He tested it with a hard pull. It shifted slightly. He cursed under his breath. Not good enough. He adjusted the angle, wrapping it twice, then once more for friction. Pulled again. This time it held. Not strong, but enough to try. Logan wrapped the other end around his forearm, then his waist, creating a crude line he could control manually. No safety, just leverage. He stepped toward the bank again, lowering himself gradually, boots searching for stable contact. The ice groaned faintly beneath the shifting snow, and below him, the water churned darker now, the puppy drifting farther into the channel. Too far. Logan clenched his jaw. He wasn't going to reach it like this. He knew that before he tried. But he tried anyway. He lowered himself another step. The rope tightened. His foot found a narrow patch of exposed rock beneath the ice, barely enough to hold weight. He leaned forward, extending his arm. Too far. Another inch. The rock shifted. His weight dropped suddenly, and the rope snapped tight against his arm, jerking him sideways. He slammed against the slope, shoulder first, pain flashing sharp and immediate. Damn it! He pushed back, boots scrambling for grip, and forced himself upright again. No good. He climbed back up half a step, breathing heavier now, not from exertion, but from the ticking clock in his head. Behind him, Rex barked, sharp, urgent. Logan turned. The puppy disappeared beneath the water, not like before, longer, too long. When it surfaced again, it didn't roll. It just drifted. Something inside Logan went quiet. Not panic, not fear, just clarity. He looked at the rope in his hand, looked at the river, then back at Rex. The dog had stopped barking. He stood still now, ears forward, body rigid, watching the water, waiting. Logan felt the cold deeper now, not just on his skin, but settling into his bones. He unwound the rope from his arm slowly, let it fall to the snow. There it was, the line, the last clean exit. He stepped back, one step, then another. Rex turned his head sharply toward him. No bark, no movement, just eyes. Logan avoided them. Not happening, he said under his breath. The words came easier this time. He turned again, climbing toward the road. The storm swallowed the river behind him. 3 steps. Go. A sound tore through the wind. Not loud, not sharp, but wrong in a way that made his spine lock. Logan stopped. He didn't turn right away. He didn't need to. He knew what it was. Behind him, the chain screamed. Metal grinding against metal as the mother lunged again, harder than before. And then, that sound. It broke. Not like a bark, not even like a howl. It was something deeper. Something that didn't ask, didn't warn, didn't threaten. It ended. Logan closed his eyes. For a brief second, the storm faded. Not because it stopped, but because something else took its place. A memory. Cold water. A different river. A different choice. He opened his eyes again. Slowly. Turned. The river came back into view. The puppy drifted, barely moving now, caught in a narrow current between 2 closing sheets of ice. The gap was shrinking. Rex stepped forward. 1 pace. Not toward Logan, and toward the edge. Logan watched him, watched the way the dog adjusted his weight, the careful placement of each paw. Not reckless, not desperate, intentional. Logan exhaled once, long and controlled. Then he moved back down the slope. No more testing, no more alternatives, just the path in front of him. "All right," he said quietly, though the wind took most of the word. "All right." Logan didn't prepare. Not properly. There was no time left for that. The rope lay where he had dropped it. He grabbed it without looking, hands moving fast now, not precise, just practiced enough to hold. 1 loop around his waist, another across his shoulder. No harness, no backup. He didn't check it twice. He didn't check anything. Rex barked once, sharp, cutting through the wind. Logan stepped onto the ice. It didn't crack. That almost made it worse. Each step forward felt like stepping onto something that had already decided to fail, just waiting for the right moment. He kept his weight low, knees bent slightly, boot sliding forward instead of lifting. The surface shifted beneath him in small, almost imperceptible ways. The river moved under everything, alive, watching. The puppy drifted farther. Too far. Logan pushed faster. 1 more step, then another. The ice gave way. Not a loud crack, not a warning, just a sudden absence. His weight dropped. The world tilted, then vanished. The cold hit like impact. Not water, not temperature. Impact. Every muscle in his body seized at once, his chest locked, lungs refusing to pull in air. For a split second, his mind didn't register what had happened. Then, instinct exploded. He kicked. Hard. His arms moved without direction, striking through water that felt thicker than it should have been. The current grabbed him immediately, pulling sideways, dragging his legs beneath the surface. He broke through again, gasping, except it wasn't a breath. It was a violent, uncontrolled intake that burned his throat and chest. The wind cut across his face, turning water into needles. Move. That was the only word left. Move. He didn't look for the bank, didn't look for the rope. He looked for the shape. The puppy. There. A dark blur between two shifting plates of ice. Logan forced his arms forward, each stroke uneven, uncoordinated. His gloves were already soaked, fingers stiffening faster than he could process. The current dragged him again, pulling him offline. He corrected. Barely. Kicked. Slipped. Kicked again. The puppy disappeared beneath the surface. No! The word came out broken, barely sound. Logan lunged forward, diving without thinking. The water closed over him instantly. Dark. Clouded. Cold beyond sensation. His eyes opened, but it didn't help. Everything blurred into movement and shadow. Ice fragments drifted past him, turning slowly like broken glass. His hand struck something. Missed, and he reached again, and felt it. Soft, small. He grabbed, pulled, kicked upward. His chest screamed, lungs burning, vision tightening at the edges. The surface felt farther away than it should have been. Then, air. He broke through with a violent gasp, dragging the small body against his chest. The puppy hung limp in his grip, head tilted, mouth slightly open. No resistance, no movement. Logan didn't check. He didn't need to. He knew, but his arms tightened anyway. Stay! The word dissolved into a cough as water hit his throat again. The current twisted him sideways, dragging him deeper into the channel. Now he looked for the bank. It was farther than he expected. Of course it was. Everything was. Rex ran along the edge above him, barking now. Not controlled. Not measured. Raw. Logan angled his body, trying to cut across the flow instead of fighting it head-on. His movements were slower now, heavier. His legs weren't responding the same way. Cold was no longer sharp. It was dull. That was worse. He reached for the rope. It wasn't there. The line had shifted, pulled out of alignment when he fell. It trailed somewhere behind him, slack and useless. Logan let out a short, harsh breath. Figures. He pushed forward again. The bank was close enough now that he could see individual rocks beneath the snow, dark shapes breaking the white. His arm reached out. Missed. He slipped again, body dragged sideways. The puppy nearly slid from his grip. Logan tightened his hold instinctively, pulling it closer against his chest. Not yet. The words were barely formed. His hand struck something solid. Rock. He grabbed it. Hard. The current fought back immediately, pulling at his legs, trying to peel him away. His grip slipped once, then held. He pulled. Nothing. His body didn't respond the way he expected. Too slow. Too heavy. He adjusted, planting one knee against the submerged edge, forcing leverage where strength was failing. Pulled again. This time, his upper body cleared the surface. He collapsed forward, chest hitting the frozen ground, half in the water, half out. For a moment, he didn't move, couldn't. The cold hit differently now. Deep, invasive, shaking through him in waves he couldn't control. The puppy was still in his hands, still limp. Logan rolled onto his side, dragging both of them farther onto the bank. Snow pressed against his face. He tasted ice. Behind him, the river moved on, unchanged. Rex was there a second later, paws scraping against the ground, circling, whining, then stopping abruptly beside Logan. The dog lowered his head, nose close to the small body in Logan's arms. He didn't touch it, just waited. Logan pushed himself up onto one elbow. His arm trembled violently under the effort. He looked down. The puppy's chest didn't move. Its eyes were closed. There was no sound, no breath. Logan's hand hovered over it for a second, then lowered. He placed the puppy carefully onto the snow in front of him. His fingers felt clumsy, disconnected, but they moved anyway, tilting the small head back, clearing the mouth. Water dripped out. Nothing else. Rex shifted slightly, letting out a low sound. Not a bark, not a growl. Something in between. Logan ignored it. He leaned forward. One hand pressed gently against the puppy's chest. Count. He didn't say the numbers out loud. He didn't need to. He pressed again. And again. The world narrowed. Not to the storm. Not to the cold. Just to the small space between his hands. Come on. This time, the words were clear. Not loud. Not desperate. Just certain. Logan's hands didn't feel like his anymore. They moved, but without certainty. Pressing, adjusting, trying to remember the right pressure, the right rhythm. The puppy's body was too small beneath his fingers, too still. He leaned closer, breath uneven, fogging the space between them. Nothing. Behind him, the storm shifted. Not quieter, just different. A sound threaded through the wind, low, mechanical, out of place. Logan didn't turn immediately. His focus stayed where his hands were, where the faint line between life and absence might still exist. Then the sound grew louder. An engine. Rex reacted first. His head snapped up, body tightening instantly. Not panic. Recognition. The dog stepped forward, positioning himself slightly between Logan and the slope above. That was enough. Logan turned. Through the snow, two beams of yellow light cut across the white. Wide. Steady. Deliberate. A vehicle crawled down the road above, tires grinding through ice, engine pushing slow but strong. It stopped near Logan's truck. The headlights stayed on. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the driver's door opened. A man stepped out. He didn't rush, didn't hesitate. He moved like someone who knew exactly where he was and exactly what he would find when he got there. Tall, broad, heavy without being so slow. A dark jacket pulled tight against the wind, hood down despite the storm. Snow gathered on his shoulders, but he didn't brush it away. He looked down the slope, saw everything. Logan, the dogs, the river. He took a few steps forward, boots crushing through the snow with a steady rhythm that didn't match the chaos around him. When he spoke, his voice carried. Not loud, but clear enough to cut through the wind. That one should have gone under. Logan didn't answer. He didn't need to. The man kept coming. As he got closer, the details sharpened. A face worn in a different way than Logan's, not from weather or time, but from something harder. a thin scar along his lip pulled slightly when he spoke, giving every word a faint distortion. His eyes didn't move much. They didn't need to. They fixed on the puppy, then on Logan, then on the chained dog behind him. "You pulled it out," the man said, more statement than question. Logan shifted slightly, instinctively angling his body to shield the puppy. "Yeah." The man's expression didn't change. "Shouldn't have." Rex let out a low growl. The man glanced at him briefly, then dismissed him just as quickly. "Relax," he said. "I'm not here for him." His attention returned to Logan. "You just made this complicated." Logan's fingers tightened around the small body in his hands. Didn't look complicated," he said, voice low, steady despite the tremor running through him. "Looked like you were done with it." The man's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "I was." He stepped closer, not fast, not threatening, just inevitable. "That one," he nodded toward the mother, "cost me time." The dog pulled against the chain again, but her strength was fading now. Her movements were sharper, shorter, focused. "She doesn't listen," the man continued. "Doesn't break right. That makes her useless." His gaze shifted back to the puppy. "And that," he added, "that's just waste." Logan didn't look up. He adjusted the puppy's head again, clearing its airway, pressing once more against its chest. No response. "Put it down," the man said. Not a command. A suggestion. Logan ignored him. The man stopped a few feet away now, close enough that Logan could see the knife when it appeared, not drawn fast, not flashed for effect. Just there, in his hand, as if it had always been. "Listen carefully," the man said. "You walk away now. You don't get involved. And this ends clean." Rex stepped forward. The growl deepened. This time the man noticed. He shifted his stance slightly, not backing off, just adjusting. Ready. Logan's arm trembled harder now, not from fear, but from cold, from exhaustion, from everything hitting at once. He tried again. Press. Release. Press. Nothing. He exhaled slowly and stopped. For a moment, everything seemed to narrow again, not like before in the water, but quieter, focused in a different way. He looked at the puppy, really looked. Then he did something unexpected. He lowered it gently onto the snow. The man watched. "Good," he said. Logan didn't respond. Instead, he pushed himself up. Not fully, just enough to shift his weight onto his knees. His body protested immediately, muscles tightening, balance unstable. He didn't care. He glanced once toward the truck. The distance wasn't far, but it might as well have been. The man followed his gaze. "Don't," he said simply. Logan looked back at him. No anger, no threat, just time. "Then you come closer," Logan said. It wasn't a challenge. It was a calculation. The man considered it, then took a step forward. That was enough. Logan moved, not toward the man, sideways, toward the tree, toward the chain, and the man's eyes narrowed slightly. Wrong move. Maybe. Logan reached the chain, fingers fumbling against the cold metal. It was thick, rusted in places, but not intact, not fully. It had been stressed, pulled, too many times. He twisted it, feeling for weakness. Found it. Barely. Behind him, the man's boots crunched closer. Rex shifted position again, placing himself between them. The distance closed. Logan pulled harder. The metal resisted. Then gave. Not completely, but enough. The chain snapped with a sharp crack. For a split second, nothing moved. The dog froze, as if the absence of restraint didn't register immediately. Then, everything changed. She didn't turn on Logan, didn't hesitate. She moved. Explosive, direct, straight past him. The man reacted, but not fast enough. Fast. And the impact drove him sideways, boots losing grip on the snow as he stumbled, the knife slipping from his hand. Rex surged forward at the same time. Not coordinated, not planned, just instinct. The man hit the ground hard, breath forced out of him in a sharp grunt. He rolled, trying to recover, but the space was gone now, occupied, threatened, alive. Logan didn't move. He couldn't. He watched. The storm raged around them, but the center of it, the place where everything mattered, had shifted. It wasn't about the river anymore. It wasn't about the cold. It was about what stood between him and the man who had decided what lived and what didn't and what didn't. And for the first time since stepping onto that ice, Logan wasn't the one making that decision. The storm didn't stop. It just stopped mattering. Logan barely registered how the struggle behind him ended. There had been movement, noise, a heavy fall, the sound of breath forced out of someone's body, a growl that didn't belong to any human voice. Then, space. Clear. Still. But Logan wasn't watching anymore. He was already moving back to the small shape lying in the snow. His legs didn't cooperate fully. One step dragged slightly behind the other, balance uncertain, vision tightening at the edges. Cold had settled into him in a way that no longer burned. It dulled. That was worse. He dropped to his knees beside the puppy. For a second, he just looked at it. Not clinically, not calculating. Just looking. The fur was darker now, soaked through, clinging in uneven strands. Ice had begun to form at the edges, small crystals catching against the thin outline of its body. Too still, Logan placed 2 fingers against its chest. Nothing. His hand hovered there longer than necessary, as if time might stretch if he didn't move. Then, he exhaled slowly and started. Press. Release. Press. His hands moved with effort now, not precision. Every push required more from his arms than it should have. His fingers didn't bend the way they used to. He adjusted. Pressed again. Count. Not numbers, just rhythm. Something to hold on to. The world around him faded again, but differently this time. Not narrowed by urgency, but quieted by repetition. Press. Release. Nothing. He leaned forward, breathing into the puppy's nose, then pulled back. Waited. Nothing. The silence stretched. Rex shifted nearby, pacing once, then stopping again. Not barking, not interfering. Just there. Watching. Logan pressed again. Harder this time. Come on. The words were barely there. Press. Release. A still nothing. His arms trembled harder now, not just from cold, from something deeper. Something that had been building since the moment he turned back at the river. Press. Release. He stopped. Just like that. No sudden break. No dramatic collapse. Just stopped. His hands stayed where they were, hovering slightly above the small body. Logan looked down at it again. Really looked this time. At the stillness. At the absence. At the quiet. He let out a slow breath, longer than the others. then leaned back slightly, weight shifting off his hands. For a moment, there was nothing left to do, nothing left to fight. The storm moved around him, but he didn't feel it, didn't hear it, didn't care. Then, something moved. Not much. Just a twitch. So small it could have been imagined. Logan froze. His eyes didn't blink, didn't shift. He leaned forward again, slower this time. Watched, waited. There, again. A faint, uneven jerk beneath the ribs. Logan's breath caught. Not sharp, not loud. Just held. He moved his hand back to the puppy's chest. Light this time. Careful. Press. Release. A sound followed. Not a bark. Not a cry. A cough. Weak. Broken. But real. Water spilled from the puppy's mouth onto the snow, a thin line cutting through the white. Logan didn't smile, didn't react outwardly at all. He just leaned closer. Stay. The word came out clear this time. Firm. The puppy's chest moved again. Shallow. Unsteady. But moving. Alive. Logan lifted it slowly, bringing it closer to his body, wrapping his jacket around it as best he could. His hands struggled with the motion, fingers stiff and uncoordinated, but they managed. Behind him, footsteps approached, different from before, more than one. Voices followed, shouting over the storm, distant at first, then clearer. Down there! A beam of light cut across the slope, sharp and white against the snow. Logan turned his head slightly, just enough to register shapes moving toward him, figures descending carefully, gear strapped tight, movements controlled despite the terrain. Rescue, or something close enough. He didn't call out, didn't wave, didn't need to. His focus stayed where it was. The puppy shifted weakly against his chest, a small, uneven breath brushing against the inside of his jacket. Rex moved closer, pressing against Logan's side, solid and warm despite the storm. The other dog, freed now, hovered nearby. She didn't approach Logan, not fully, but she didn't leave either. Her eyes stayed fixed on the small bundle in his arms, waiting, watching, protecting. Logan's body swayed slightly. The ground felt unstable beneath him, not from ice, but from something internal, something slipping. He adjusted once, failed. His arm tightened around the puppy instinctively. Then, the world shifted, not violently, just enough. His vision narrowed, edges fading into gray. The voices grew louder, closer, but harder to separate. Hands reached him, firm, practiced. Stay with me. Hypothermia, get him up. Careful! Logan didn't resist, didn't help either. He just let it happen. As they lifted him, his head turned slightly. Not toward the people, toward the dogs. Rex stood beside him. Still. Steady. The other one, closer now, leaned just enough to touch the edge of Logan's jacket with her nose. Checking. Confirming. The puppy shifted again inside his coat. Alive. Logan's eyes closed briefly. Not fully. Just enough. And in that space, something surfaced. Not the storm, not the river. Something older. A different place. A different cold. A moment he had left behind once, and a voice that had called out. A hand that hadn't been reached in time. He didn't see the face. Didn't need to. He remembered the choice. The one he hadn't made. His eyes opened again. Just slightly. enough to see them. The two dogs, one small breath between them. Still here, still breathing. Logan exhaled slowly, and for the first time since the storm began, there was no weight in it, only quiet. Not this time. The words barely formed, but they were enough. Sometimes the hardest moment in life is not the danger in front of us, but the decision of whether we walk away. Logan didn't become stronger that day. He didn't suddenly gain more skill, more power, or more time. He simply made a different choice, and that choice changed everything. In our own lives, we may never face a frozen river or a storm like that, but we are all given moments where we can step in, or step back, where we can protect something fragile, or tell ourselves it's not our responsibility. Maybe the miracle is not in the outcome. Maybe it's in the moment we choose not to turn away. If this story meant something to you, take a moment to share what you felt. And if you believe small choices can still change a life, stay with us and subscribe for more stories like this. May you have the courage to choose what is right, even when it costs you something.